With Willem Els from the Institute for Security Studies, and we are talking about the phenomenon of illegal mining, which has long been an issue of concern in the country because of the threat that it poses. You'll know we are having this conversation in the wake of the protests that are taking place in Kagiso, where communities are raising their concerns about these people they call zamas who are engaging in illegal mining. Let's bring in Willem Els and have that conversation. Willem, thank you for your time. And it's significant that, I'm talking to you about an issue that on paper or, on the surface looks like it's an issue of mining, but it actually has security implications. Locate this phenomenon for us within the security conversation happening in our country, this sense that the state and other organs don't really have a grip on our security. How does the issue of illegal mining exacerbate that situation?
Thank you very much for that question. And I think if I can agree with the previous speaker, Professor Costa, we have to look at the bigger picture and how this is impacting on South Africa. This incident and also this response from the communities happened after the incident about a week ago in the Krugersdorp area. As far back as 2006, when I was still active in the police, we already had operations in the areas of Rustenburg as well as in Belkom against these illegal miners, and this is the phenomenon that really started to getting out of hand. We see that there are extensive operations by these illegal miners, and they form a criminal or organized crime syndicates. In the East Rand, we see that they are active in the Orkney area and the Western Transvaal, in Rustenburg, as I mentioned, also as far southeast as Barberton. So this is not something that is localized just to the Krugersdorp area. So what is happening? These illegal criminals or miners come in, and then they form these syndicates that bring a different kind of criminality to the regions or the areas where they operate, because they tend to go down into the disused mines, and also they're taking over some active mining operations. And then from there, they become involved with other illicit activities like copper theft, like illegal or the stripping of the mines of metal to sell as scrap metal in order to fund their operations while they are operating there. But they are only the foot soldiers. That is the problem that we are facing.
So it becomes something of an ecosystem, from what I'm hearing you say, Willem Els. And I was thinking about it, that it's not an in-your-face ecosystem, in that you see a couple of guys, ragtag people, just going underground and trying to get whatever ore they can get, from which they can get gold, and engaging in other activities to extract that gold and then sell it on. Until you analyze that for them to do that, they need to have access to explosives. They need to have access to a market where they're going to sell that gold once they've gotten it. And it becomes a whole ecosystem of organized crime, is what you are saying.
Yeah, that's what I say. You must just understand that if there's no market for these people to sell this illicit gold, then they won't come in, and they won't be illegal miners. The problem or the challenge that we have is that we are only looking now at the bottom, at the root level or grassroots level. Up there in the pyramid of this organized crime triangle, you've got the illegal, the buyers. Then they refine this gold even further. They mix it with your legal gold, like the jewelry, second-hand jewelry and in order to wash the gold to become a legal gold, and then they export it to places like Dubai. So as long as that market is not there, these people will not come in. But because that market exists, we will now have operations on grassroots level. They will arrest these people, but they will just be replaced by more and more of them coming in across the border. You also mentioned the explosives. I heard a figure that up to 80% of the explosives that are being used by the zamas, by the CIT robbers, as well as the ATM bombers, are explosives that are illegally coming over our borders, crossing our borders from our neighboring countries, where the explosives control is not what it should be. We know that South Africa's got some loopholes, but we also understand that they have got a good tap on the control of explosive due to legislation and also the manpower and the that we spend on that, because we understand the danger of illegal explosives being in the market.
Yeah.
The problem with that explosive, once again, is that when these illegal explosives are being smuggled, you've got different classes of explosives that need to be transported separately for safety reasons, and they do not do that when they smuggle it. They put the detonators and the explosives together that create a severe danger for the people on the bus where they are traveling, for the people on the road where they are transporting these illegal explosives.
Willem Els, just very quickly before I go back to one of our reporters on the ground in Kagiso, who's to blame? Who should carry the burden of responsibility for this situation getting to where it is? Because when I analyze, I think that, you know, there are issues to do with mineral resources and how the licensing regime and after the mining operations, how that factors in, but also issues of policing, the environment, etc. So who should carry the ultimate responsibility, in your view, for allowing the situation to get to this point?
Ultimately, we have to have a political will in order to solve this challenge. It's been coming for many, many years. And we saw that we can also not solve this problem in isolation. When the police, for example, try to, with operations, to solve this challenge, and they do not involve all the other departments and all the other role players, as you mentioned, we're not going to really get to the core of what is going on here, and also to solve it. We need a holistic approach where we need to take hands, all different agencies that are involved have to take the hand of law enforcement, and then they will have to move forward with a strategy that is combined and including all of these role players in order to address the situation.
All right, Willem Els, I've got to thank you for your time and your insights here on Today on eNCA. He is from the Institute for Security Studies, weighing in around this phenomenon of illegal mining and how it factors in around issues of security. Speaking of which,